All right, welcome aboard, everybody. Time to do our latest brunch with Bud. Closing in on the Christmas season here, the holiday season for everybody. On a good old Tuesday. Welcome aboard. Today's broadcast brought to you by our friends at Cam's Pizzeria, where it is always love at first slice. Talk about festive. Tony and the gang always make the Oswego and Camillus locations very, very festive, and they have all kinds of Christmas specials as well. So go see our friends at Cam's today. Maybe even want to cater some stuff with Cam's. They do phenomenal catering as well. So again, camspizza.com. All right, without further ado, let's bring him in. He's our my former co-host, longtime guy that I hung out with forever. And boy, he gets a little grouchy around Christmas time. Hopefully he's in a good mood. We'll find out. It's the one, the only Bud Poliquin as we brunch with Bud. Hello, Bud. Are you in a festive mood or are you grouchy? What are you up to today?
I'm sort of grouchy, but I will say this. Two major thumbs up to our little partner here. Now that he's sort of trimmed that beard and now he looks like a human.
Oh, okay.
And not like who are those guys that they sold all the crazy stuff?
Oh, Amish?
No, the TV show that you liked there, Lurch.
I didn't like that TV show. No, it's not that. I know the show you're referencing. Again, I don't like it. It's Duck Dynasty.
Duck Dynasty. That's it. Oh. That's right. Well, Lurch liked Duck Dynasty. How about you?
Maybe.
But you're so much more. You're so much more professional looking.
Oh,
you're easier to take seriously. I hope you keep it like this and don't do that thing again. But
okay.
I might be the old man on the porch.
Okay, so if you're proud of me for that, you're going to be proud of me for this. I was going to wait, but I'm going to go full screen here for a second, Bud. I received a gift. You know that I'm wearing the Notre Dame hat here. I visited the campus, went to a game. Boy,
I know all about this.
Sorry, Syracuse fans, but I received a gift, Bud, and I'd love your reaction if I may. Are you
may go full screen, please, on the gift.
Yeah, full screen. Okay, here's the gift. It's right over here.
You see it, Bud? There it is. Ooh, look at it. It's a gold helmet. Lovely. Beautiful.
Bud, do you know what this
insignia on that helmet? That's what I'm wondering. Is there an insignia?
Do you know what this is, Bud?
It's a miniature replica helmet from Notre Dame.
Yep, kind of
yes, but it's autographed here
by a singular person.
I can't see it. I mean, I see there's some
no. It's okay. I'll fill you in. I don't mind. This Herbie Hancock. Okay.
Yeah.
This old autograph.
Not Herbie Hancock, John Hancock.
It's Herbie. It's from Tommy Boy. That's the joke, Lurch.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Tommy Boy, not my movie. Okay.
Come on, Lurch. It's the greatest movie of all time. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But speaking of movies,
no.
Yes, it is, Bud. It's the one, the only.
Oh no.
Rudy
Rudiger.
Yes. His full name is Daniel Eugene Rudiger, or as we all know him, Rudy. This is the real Rudy. He signed this with Play Like a Champion today, and there is his autograph with Rudy on it. My father gave me this gift as I was about to leave. We did the Notre Dame trip. I went to his house for Thanksgiving. He said, oh, by the way, I've got a gift. And there was this unveiling. This box opened up. I was like, oh, my goodness. There you go. Rudy, baby. Yeah, the music's playing. All right, Bud, what do you think? Again, you said you were proud of me for the upkeep here on the facial hair. What about this? A Rudy gift?
It reminds me of when Billy Martin, the baseball manager, showed up at the Hubert H. Humphrey Dome in Minneapolis.
Okay.
And it said, he looked around the place and said, man, this place is a dump, said Billy Martin. He says, it's a shame that they named Hubert Humphrey after this dome. Okay. So it's a shame that they took a nice helmet and put Rudy Rudiger on your nice little helmet. Of all the people that they could have put in there, from Newt Rockney right up to whoever, they put Rudy. You got Rudy's signature, his autograph. It's a beautiful gesture by your dad. You love it. He loved giving it to you. I just wish there's a better autograph would have suited me, my taste better. Wow. More interesting autograph.
Rocket
all right,
Israel, maybe.
Yeah, sure. I loved Rocket. That's a great callback. There's a lot of really good. I don't know if I ever told the story, but someone I ran into on the campus, Jerome Bettis. Me and my pop were, we saw the whole
Jerome Bettis.
Yeah, we did. So the player walkthrough happens. We got a good spot, and that was awesome. And we put it up on our YouTube shorts and everywhere, and it was pretty amazing. And then, we had to stand for 2 hours. My dad's like, "Can we take a seat over on the bench?" Like, one older woman, I feel so terrible. She fainted because she had been standing for so long waiting, and she waited 2.5 hours on the concrete waiting for the players to come through. She never made it, unfortunately. She started, trying to take off a sweater, and then she passed out, and they had to
Oh my
take her
goodness.
away. Like, Jesus, these Notre Dame people are the real deal. So I bring my dad over, and we're sitting on the bench, and I'm just like, he's just like sort of just catching his breath, and I'm just like, my eyes are just glancing around at all the people, and someone passed by, and I go, Jerome Bettis. And he looks at me, and then people went, Jerome Bettis. I'm like, son of a, oh no, here's what I did. And then there's pictures. And then he ran off faster than any 40-yard dash he had ever done in his life to get away. His son plays at Notre Dame, but yes, ran into old Jerome Bettis, who's like 5 feet away from me.
Tip to you, Paul, before you jump in here, bud. All right.
Yeah.
When you meet, you run into some fame like that.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is not to scream the guy's name out and point at him. Okay, that's what a typical fan does. Okay, you have to get like beyond typical fandom. Like the time I told this story before, but I must tell it again. The time I was at Madison Square Garden for a Knick playoff game, stepped up to the urinal. Sorry that it happened at a urinal in a bathroom at Madison Square Garden. Looked to my right and noticed this man wearing a very, very nice leather jacket, like, quality leather. Like it was probably a couple of grand, this jacket. And I was just like, whoa. And so
who doesn't notice that at a urinal?
Just kind of glancing at his nice clothing. And then I look up to his face and he turns in my direction. And as he does, I realize it's the baseball player, Harold Baines, former White Sox, played for the A's, long time, guy, probably a fringy, Hall of Fame guy. All right. And Harold Baines looks at me and I recognize him. He realizes I recognize him because with all this packed bathroom, and people all around us, I just look at him and I go. So I just say his name without saying it, just moving my lips.
So you mouth it.
I mouth it to him. I just go. And he looks back at me and goes. And I go, cool. And that was it. I just finished my business. And that was my little chance meeting with Harold Baines. That was it. It was cool. He was cool. I was cool. He got out of that bathroom unharmed because if I had said, Harold Baines, oh my God, the bathroom would have surrounded this poor guy who was stepping up to the urinal. It would not have been a good scene. So
I should have just mouthed to Jerome Bettis, went.
I'm more quiet.
Don't you hate the guy?
Jerome, great to see you. Man, awesome.
Don't you hate that guy who always tops your story? Don't you hate that kind of a guy?
Yeah, see, what's that nice? I had a lovely Jerome Bettis story, and I don't think I yelled. I just was like, "Whoa!"
All right,
Jerome
Bettis. How about a guy who would top 2 stories?
Okay.
Oh,
he's going to have the penultimate on this one. So
yeah, that's probably true.
He's had many more brushes with fame than either one of the two of us. That's for sure.
Go ahead, bud.
I'm a kid. We went on 2 vacations in my life, and one of these vacations we went to California. I'd have to look it up to do the work on the time and all, but I'm probably 11 years old. Mm-hmm. And we're walking along, and my mother, father, 3 sisters, and me. We're walking along, and there's this big crowd gathering. And we say, hey, let's go see what's going on over here. So I sit down on the bus stop bench and just kind of, there's just a lot of noise, a lot of lights, and a lot of stuff. People walking around, but nothing's really happening, even though there's a big crowd. All of a sudden, some guy comes over, says, sees me chewing some gum, and he says, hey, you got a stick of gum for me? I said, yeah, sure. Give him a piece of gum. He sits down. And I say, what's going on here? He says, oh, they're making a movie. They're making a movie? Yeah, cool. What movie are they making? Well, you're not going to be in it, but I mean, you're going to be too young to see it. But believe it or not, I'm in the movie. You're not in the movie. Now, at this point, I know 2 movie people. I know Jerry Lewis and John Wayne. I don't know who this guy is. And I don't believe him. I say, you're not in the movie. I'm 11 years old. I'm a little snot. Get out of here. Why would you?
You're not in the movie, mister. You're not in the movie, mister.
Yeah, right. You're a big phony.
I don't even know who you are. How can you be in the movie? And he says, what's it? He says, where is it? Hey, Catherine, come on over here. Catherine, come here. So this old gal, Catherine, comes over. And he says, hey, Catherine, tell this kid who I am and tell him that I'm in the movie. And by the way, she's in the movie too. I said, get out of here. Okay, who is this guy? And he says, that's Dustin Hoffman. And I'm Catherine Ross. And they're making the Graduate.
Wow.
So I gave a piece of gum and sat down and chided Dustin Hoffman and then Catherine Ross because I'd never heard of him. And that was his debut movie. So no one ever heard of Dustin Hoffman at that point. And Catherine Ross, the old gal, she might have been 22 years old, So anyway, there you go.
All right, bud. All right,
hold on. We're not done yet. We're not done yet.
There's a third?
I think that one's the topper, but I have to come back with this one. So I was out in California for one of my rare California trips when I was in my 20s. And they were making the movie and shooting the scenes on Rodeo Drive of Pretty Woman. At the time, actually, the movie wasn't even out yet. Obviously, it was being filmed. And the movie's name was actually 3,000, right? Or was it 2,000? How much money did he give her? I forget how many he gave her, $2,000 or $3,000. But it was the amount of money that he gave that Richard Gere gave her in the movie to be his, beck and call girl. So anyway, I think it was 3,000. So I said, what is this? It looks like they're shooting a movie here. I'm in Hollywood. I'm like, wow, I've never seen a movie set. This is pretty cool. And I said, yeah, they're shooting this movie. It's called 2000, and it's got Julia Roberts and Richard Gere. I was like, whoa, baby. All right, wow, we got some big time actors. So they were just doing like street scenes where they were like people walking up and down the block, and they were, I guess, I don't know where the main actors were, but they were just shooting extras walking up and down Rodeo Drive for, I guess, various shots. So I said to my two buddies, I'm like, why don't we just jump under the thing here and, walk through the scene, man, see if we can get away with it, could just be people, So one of my buddies like, no way. And the other guy's like, hell yeah, right? So we wait for security's kind of not watching. We duck under the little thing and we walk down the street on Rodeo Drive like we're part of the movie. Within 30 seconds, man, like 3 security guys are on us. Like, excuse me, who are you? We're like, what do you mean? And they're like, are you in the movie? And we're like, what movie? We didn't know there was a movie. Like, acting like we're idiots. He's like, get off the set right now. They escorted us
That's
off.
pretty
That
cool.
was the end of it. So we walked onto the set of Pretty Woman. Didn't see anybody, but just tried to cause some trouble. I guess 2 New Yorkers causing some trouble on the set of then 2000, now turned into Pretty Woman.
And next week, I'll tell the story about how I almost ran down Robert Redford.
Oh, that one we have to share.
On a country road in Utah.
Right.
Yes,
right.
Yes. Our dear departed friend. Yes, we wanted to talk to you.
Right, I was just about to say,
about
just
Robert
passed
Redford,
away.
So we do need to
Back
share
in
Robert
September.
Redford's story. That's a very good story. Okay. All right. There are sports to talk about as we brunch with Bud. So let's get right to it. Brought to you again by our friends at Cam's Pizzeria. By the way, if you like the video, hit the little thumbs up like right now and give us some extra exposure by liking our videos. All right, Bud, let's start with Syracuse football. He always started on the local front. And Fran Brown has been busy getting out the broom and doing a little spring cleaning or winter cleaning or whatever you want to call it. He's fired several of his coaches, somewhere in the neighborhood of 5, and including a guy that was once his defensive coordinator. He was demoted, Elijah Robinson, who landed in all places with Lane Kiffin at LSU. So what do you make of Fran Brown cleaning house here? It's only 2 years of his tenure, so we're going into year 3 of the Fran Brown era. Obviously, a very disappointing season for Syracuse as they finished in dead last in the ACC after that loss to Boston College. But give me your thoughts about where the future of this program is, and are you a big fan of cleaning house here in between 2 seasons here, between seasons 2 and 3?
All right, this is going to be what same song, different verse, or whatever the expression is. We all must have the disclaimer that we don't know exactly what's going on. I mean, the people he farmed out might have been doing things that were fireable beyond a 3-9 record. What, 3-9? Yeah, they won 3 games, right? So they're 3-9. Did they win 3 or 2?
3.
3. Okay, so they're 3-9. So maybe he fired him simply on the grounds that 3-9 doesn't cut it. I'm not going to fire myself. I'm not going to wait for them to shove me out the door. So I'm going to shove you guys out the door. And once again, the utter hypocrisy of college athletics shines its head again, in that I'm sure that Fran Brown said publicly, on who knows how many occasions, behind closed doors, in the locker room, at the coaches' meetings, I'm confident anyway, I'm not sure, but I'm confident that he evoked the F word, family. and that we're a family here and we're all in this together and let's, hang tough and, good times are nice, but bad times are when we learn about each other, blah, 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 all the cliches. And then here he is, a week or two after the season, and he gets rid of a handful of these guys who are good enough in some cases for sure to help win 10 games last year. And now suddenly a year later, they've lost their ability to coach and they're gone. If somebody had knocked on Fran Brown's door, Wild Hack, and said after this year, hey, Fran, you're done. You were 10-3 last year and we loved you. You're 3-9 this year. We don't love you. Get out of here. I'm sure he would feel betrayed. I'm sure he'd feel, hey, you didn't give me a chance. Hey, if I was good enough last year, why am I not good enough for you this year? Come on, this isn't fair. It's not right. Blah, blah, blah. You're the boss. I understand you can do it. Just like Fran Brown's the boss of his staff. He can do it. But me, I'm kind of old fashioned. I'd like to think that the coaches actually believe what they're saying and that there's some credibility to what they say. And yet when you go throw people out the window because, you lost 2 more games than you wanted to lose, when you don't remember that those guys helped you win 10 the year before, when you fire somebody, remember, you're not just firing that person, you're firing that person and the family. I don't know how many of these people are married. I don't know how many of them have kids, but in many cases, you're firing more than the person. You're firing an entire family. I think it's too quick. I think it's heartless. And I don't, for what it's worth, I don't approve of it all. And anybody who would call in and say, Poliquin's an idiot, this is all about winning. If you can't win, don't get into the profession. I understand that too. I understand that. These guys sign on. They know what they're getting in. Doesn't mean that I like it any less. It doesn't mean I approve of it anymore. And some things in life maybe aren't worth disrupting people's lives over a couple more losses than you wish you had. I don't like it.
So, Bud, which one is closer to the truth, right? So we mentioned, all right, how many games did Syracuse win this season? Won 3, and they won 3 in a row at the beginning of the season, and then, they lost out. So which one's closer to the truth? In the middle of that 3-game winning streak, Fran Brown's name was mentioned as a potential Penn State candidate for that gig. And then in the middle of all the losing, people said, we got to get rid of this Fran Brown guy. Last year was a fluke. This guy stinks. So which one is closer to the truth? The guy that was garnering Penn State head coaching interest or the guy who's just another random guy that's come through here through Syracuse?
Okay, so I don't know where the Fran Brown stuff came from. It might have been generated by a voracious media that always needs to have some sort of name throwing around at this point, in the hiring and firing season. It seems ridiculous to me, and I said it on this show when Fran Brown's name came up, that's preposterous. Who for Penn State is, you can argue that top 5, top 10, top 15, top 20. They're one of the top programs in the history of college football. And you're going to throw that to a kid at that time his name was coming up, would coach 15, 16, 17 games?
That's about right.
It was preposterous. And I said it then, I would say it now. What's closer to the truth? Well, I don't think we know. Is he a 10-win guy or a 9-loss guy? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. And that includes the people up on the campus, because they hired him, and good for them. They might have hired the next, Newt Rockne for all I know, but they might have hired, somebody who wasn't ready for this job this quickly. He's a young guy. Let's see what he can do. What's real? You don't like this answer, but it's true. I don't know what's real.
All right.
You're right, Bud. I don't like that answer at all. I just wanted to let you know that. You're correct. And
since Boy Green's got the Notre Dame cap and he's ready to run out Rudy Rudiger's autograph on his beautiful helmet that his dad gave him, let's talk about Notre Dame, because they are none too happy. And their AD had a little press conference earlier today and said, yeah, you ACC lowlives, get out of my kitchen. All right. So Notre Dame is one of only 2 independents in the entire country. The other is Connecticut, and we know Connecticut would love to be in a conference if anyone actually wanted them. So Notre Dame is really the lone independent out there by all measures. They get in this situation from year to year where they get immense respect, of course, but by the same token, in this playoff system, sometimes they can get vexed a little bit, and this is the first time that this has happened. So you see it there on the screen. Notre Dame AD rips ACC, saying permanent damage has been done between Notre Dame and the ACC, because apparently those that have ACC ties that were part of that committee that put together the seeding system and decided the 12 playoff teams were lobbying very voraciously for Miami to be and represent the ACC. And Notre Dame, as we all know here on the East Coast, maybe people across the country might not know, Notre Dame does not have a conference in football. As I just said, they're an independent. But in their other sports, most of their other sports, they are in the ACC. So their basketball team is in the ACC, and many of their other tertiary sports are in the ACC. So they have a relationship with the ACC.
By the way, real quick, Lurch, 24 of their other sports. Yeah.
All right. So they have affiliations with the ACC, but they don't have the biggest one, which is what everyone wants. If is for Notre Dame to commit to a conference. In all honesty, the Big Ten would probably make the most sense, at least geographically. Not that geography means anything anymore. But give me your thoughts. Notre Dame and the ACC and a relationship that is falling apart, Bud, as we speak, thanks to the way that this went down, as Notre Dame was not picked to be in the football playoff.
Well, excuse my coughing. You hinted at the truth of the matter, and that is that this is Notre Dame's choice to go without a conference. It's a financial choice. It allows them, as they say, to continue with their traditional games, although they're not playing too many of the traditional games anymore. I don't know where USC is in their scheduling down the road. I don't know where Michigan is. I don't know where Michigan State is. I don't know where Purdue is. These are all traditional games throughout Notre Dame history. So they have decided, in the name of money, and that's how the world turns, inside and outside football, they've said, okay, we'll take the money in our independent status. That's fine. Go ahead. You're entitled. You're Notre Dame. You're like the bear who can sleep anywhere he wants. We get that. However, you run into a situation just like this. I think you said either just now or off air, and I'm sorry if I'm confusing, that if Notre Dame was in the ACC, they certainly would have won that league. I mean, it's a bad league, and they would have won it, and they'd be in the tournament, and they might even be, who knows? It might have gotten a home field advantage. So, guess what? I don't know that there's much of a mystery here or a debate. Certainly, Notre Dame fans could be angry. They're certainly one of the top 12 teams in America. There doesn't seem to be much discussion there. But, there's X amount of spots in the tournament for conference champions, and they're not a conference champion. So they go down into the next batch, and I don't know, what we're doing there in terms of at large. But folks, if Notre Dame folks, if you don't like it, get in the conference. If you do like what you're doing, you better win 11 and 12 games a year, not 10.
Do you like the fact, Bud, at all that Alabama is in with 3 losses, one of which was in the SEC championship game, and therefore, according to the committee, we're not taking that into too much consideration. But then it seems like in other places they did take it into consideration with other conference games, so conference championship games.
Yeah, I'm going to just jump in and add this, Bud, to get your point here, because, right, so a lot of people, I don't want to say everyone, a lot of people are saying, well, Notre Dame, you're an independent. Get into a conference, buddy, and that's your problem. You're not in a conference, so you can't cry about it. But there is a hypocrisy here that Lurch just pointed out. The college football playoff says, hey, if you get to the conference title game, win or lose, we're not going to win. Of course, obviously you can help your case by doing great things, but you won't hurt your case by making it. That's what the college football playoff committee has been telling us. But obviously that's not true, because BYU was in the Big 12 championship game. They got their teeth kicked down their throat by Texas Tech. And because of that, they're not in the college football playoff. But Alabama goes to their conference championship game in the SEC. They get throat punched just the same way that BYU did, but this time by Georgia. Alabama didn't move a nickel. They stayed in the same place they were before the final ranking show, and the results of after they picked it. Alabama didn't move anywhere. They stayed in the same place. So there's a hypocrisy here. They're saying, hey, Notre Dame, just get into a conference championship and get into a conference and you're going to be just dandy. But that's not what happened over the weekend. One team got screwed. One team was unaffected. So if I'm Notre Dame, you're trying to pressure me to get into one of these, and even that is inconsistent.
Well, there's a difference between BYU and Notre Dame. Number one, there's a difference between losing in the SEC title game than wherever BYU lost their game. So I think it's all fruit, but it's still apples and oranges. Okay. I think. All right. But you asked Jim Lurch, should they get in with a 3-loss record?
3-loss team. Yeah.
And the knee jerk is no. However, if you look at the SEC, I don't know that Notre Dame would have had fewer than 3 losses in the SEC. I mean, the Notre Dames of the world, the Syracuses of the world. You have, like, last year's 10-3 record was phony. It was a fraud because you have to look at who you beat. And I'm not an SEC guy in terms of, I don't know if I like, the whole. One of them has a $30 million payroll. I read one of those teams. NIL. I think it's Texas A&M or Texas Tech or something, has a $30 million payroll. This is, again, pro sports. I already have a pro football league. It's called the NFL. I don't need college, the pro version of college or the college version of pro. But the facts, I think the perceived facts are that the Notre Dames of the world, or the Syracuses or the BYUs of the world, I don't know why they should get a free pass playing a relatively soft schedule compared to what you have to play in the SEC. Notre Dame picks its opponents. As an independent, it picks its opponents. SEC doesn't pick its opponents because if they did, no one would play Georgia and Alabama, right? They'd all play some stiff. So, no, I don't like a 3-loss team in there, but that 3-loss team is better than maybe Notre Dame with 2 losses. Maybe better than BYU with 2 losses. I mean, what are you going to do? You get in the league, you do what you do, let the chips fall where they may. And by the way, okay, somebody will say, well, you should expand it to 16 teams. You should expand it to 24 teams. No matter where you expand it, you're going to have this conversation. Because you expand it to 24, team number 25 is outraged. Just like in the NCAA basketball tournament. You can let them all, well, you can let them all and nobody has a problem. But you could let in half of all the football teams, and that one person who doesn't finishes in the 51st percentile, he's mad and he can trot out all the reasons why his story is one that should be heard. Sorry,
that's
Notre
true,
Dame.
don't give me that sorry, Notre Dame. You don't mean that. Take back that sorry. Only say it if you mean it with the hairs on your chin of the bottom from your heart. Because a 3-loss team has never made the college football playoff ever. Oh, Alabama? Hey, no worries. We like mixing things up. You can be the first one. What? Come on, man.
I agree, but no matter whatever you do. Okay, if the music stops, Notre Dame gets a seat and Alabama doesn't.
Yeah.
You don't think Alabama would have an argument? Because they would say the reason they'd say the reason we didn't get in with the 3 losses is because we put ourselves in a position against Georgia of all teams to lose for a 3rd time. Notre Dame, meanwhile, gets to sit back and eat bonbons and watch all the games on TV and not have to worry about a 3rd loss against the Georgia. So really, if it was reversed, Alabama would be just as mad and maybe would have a better argument than Notre Dame's argument.
Yeah, maybe Duke would have taken them out, Boy Green. I don't think so.
And that says a lot about ACC.
Oh, man. Duke against Virginia.
James Madison.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Almost the ACC, they should almost look to stripping ACC of an automatic berth. I mean, come on. An 8-5 team a team going in at 7-5 is now your conference champion. And they, after that game, finishing with 5 losses, the Duke players are politicking as to why they should be in the 12-team tournament.
Good grief.
I mean, please. This is absurd. But anyway.
And that's probably why, Bud, the square peg fit the round hole, right? So the ACC champion, well, we're not going to let Duke in. Are we going to shut out the ACC completely? Well, we got to try to find a way to get Miami in. So, and then it caused all this ruckus. So if Virginia wins as they were supposed to, maybe Miami doesn't get that second ACC bid and gets in there anyway, but we'll never know, I guess.
All right. Hold your thoughts, gentlemen. Let me just take 30 seconds. We'll hear a little bit more about our friends from Cam's Pizzeria, and then we'll come back. I want to talk a little bit SU hoops, and I've got a rules kind of thing I want to talk with Bud about in the NFL. All right, stick around. Plenty more to come. This is Brunch with Bud on the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. Pop that subscribe button right now while you got a second. Be right back.
When you think of Camp's Pizzeria, think about 2 of your favorites. Their zesty buffalo chicken wing pizza or their tasty chicken bacon ranch. Over 16 specialty pizzas made fresh daily with the best ingredients. Indulge in their homemade calzones, subs, wraps, salads, and their famous cannolis for dessert. They're all made with love just for you. Order online for 10% off at camspizza.com. Locations in Camillus and Oswego. Cam's Pizzeria. It's love at first slice.
All right. right, Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital back at MC Show Digital, our handle on YouTube. Please become a subscriber to our channel by simply going to that link you see right on your screen right there, youtube.com/MC Show Digital, and hit subscribe, and you can join our growing community of wonderful people. All right, we're brunching with Bud Poliquin here on a Tuesday. And Bud, just a quick rules thing in the NFL that I wanted to go over with you. The Isaiah Likely touchdown pass that turned out not to be a touchdown pass. Did you see it? Can you tell me, give me your take on what you thought happened there? I cannot believe still, as I sit here a couple of days later, that the officials who ruled it a catch on the field and a touchdown somehow ended up overruling that thing. I thought it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Your take.
Well, if you're asking me, do I think the guy caught the ball and should have been a touchdown? Yeah, I do. And that's spoken as something of a Steelers fan. That I thought the Ravens, who I have no love for, that they had, dare I say, they got the victory snared from the jaws of whatever. They were going to win the game, and the referee said, no, you're not, because we're taking that away. So I thought it was a catch. I mean, he catches the ball. He's got 2 feet on the ground. He takes, I think, 2 steps, and somehow they say, well, you need to take a 3rd step. And then the time or the spacing or whatever between a non-3rd step and a 3rd step is what, this? And maybe a millisecond? And you're going to take an athletic play away from that guy because, a microscopic sort of discovery of, oh, look at that foot, look at that toe, blah, blah, blah.
The whole point of
I'm
replay,
all for
right,
reviews.
Bud,
Let's get these things
right. Yeah.
I'm all for it, but I mean, it's something that's infinitesimal like that, let it go. So, no, I was not happy with that. I thought it was a bad call.
We were talking about this on the show, on the live show on Monday, but the fact of the matter is that you're supposed to overturn things. It's always advantage call on the field. So to overturn it, it's supposed to be, prohibitive evidence, whatever, clear evidence,
right.
whatever.
Yeah, overwhelming, right?
Overwhelming evidence. We've heard all the terminology over all the years of replay, right? And there was nothing overwhelming, and yet they still overturned that. I thought it was crazy. Conversely, that Aaron Rodgers play earlier in the game, which also went Pittsburgh's way, where he threw the ball into the line of scrimmage. It got deflected. It came right back to Rodgers, who jumped up in the air, caught it, and somehow landed on his knees with a whole bunch of guys around him, and the ball kind of squirting around. And all of a sudden, and by the way, the Ravens recovered that, and they ruled that Aaron Rodgers was down. I also disagreed with that call. I thought that was crazy. But give me your thoughts on that one. Did you agree or disagree with how they decided that one?
Well, that one I agreed on. I thought that, look, if the rule is, does he have the ball and his knee on the ground? Yeah.
For a millisecond?
It's right there. Well, but when you touch the ground, supposedly the play's over, you're tackled, or you're not, or whatever the word was. So I didn't find that as egregious. If they had allowed that to be Ravens ball, I wouldn't have been crazy mad about that as either a Steelers fan, me, the real Steelers fans would have been. But that wouldn't have been egregious. But I agreed with that call. I didn't agree with the touchdown taken away call.
Okay.
Pretty simple.
All right, we started with the local. Let's end with the local, and let's talk about Syracuse basketball. Adrian Autry's squad got themselves a big win and a court storming at the JMA, Bud, when they beat Tennessee a little less than a week ago. They've got games this week, by the way, against St. Joe's on Thursday, and Saturday they'll take on Hofstra. But give me your thoughts. This is very early season. They did go out to Las Vegas and got beat up by by 3 nationally ranked teams, including Kansas, one of the pedigrees, Houston, who was at one point number 1 in the country this year, and Iowa State. No shame in that. And some of the games were competitive, but Syracuse really needed a win. They got one here against a ranked team, and they also got a court storming, which I know you might have a comment or two about as well. So give me your thoughts on the state of the Syracuse basketball program as we look at it here in early December of 2025.
Well, I said, and I'm going to have to stick with it because I said it. I said that they're going to make the tournament this year, the big tournament, so that they beat Tennessee. They really kind of needed it to keep my prediction somewhat alive in the early part of the year. But however, I don't know that we can draw too much attention or draw too many conclusions, I should say, from this early part of the year, because I think the strength of this team is its depth, maybe not the talent as much as the depth of the talent. And I think that's going to come to be a great service to them as we get into the season. And you're looking at injuries, you're looking at foul trouble, you're looking at a cold shooter, or let's get a hot shooter out there. I think that they've got the kind of depth that in the mediocre world of college basketball will serve them well. And I think they'll go to the tournament. Storming the court, again, I don't get it. I'm not an old fuddy-duddy. Joyous response to victory is a wonderful thing. But when we turn over cars and set them on fire in the street because we're so happy our team won, when we charge the court and knock people over on the way because I'm so happy I knocked that person down, I actually stepped on some gal's leg or something, I don't get it. Now, there was once upon a time, and you don't have to be too old to remember, that in baseball, in the World Series, and even in the playoffs, the big win was celebrated, but we would charge the field.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it was in New York, it might have been Philadelphia, I think it was in Philly, where they actually brought in police on horses, and they lined the foul line in the ninth inning.
Yep.
And you just looked at it and said, this is disgraceful that we have mounted, armed policemen lining up and down the foul lines of a baseball game. Well, somehow, some way, the people got the word, and we don't charge baseball fields anymore. And there's great joy when the Dodgers win or whoever wins. Why do college people think that it's cool? And why is it necessary to express your joy by putting yourself in harm's way, putting others in harm's way, and in football anyway, if it's grass, tearing up the field? Tearing down the goals.
Have you ever stormed a court? You shouldn't hate it till you try it. Have you ever stormed a court or jumped on the field and went wild?
Okay, I take it you have.
I have. Yes? But it's on my bucket list. I want to. Yeah.
He hasn't, but he wants to.
What would you do?
I'm waiting for the right game.
What would you do when you got out there?
Well, what would you do when you? Yeah, exactly. What would you do when you run through the prairie and get to the other side? What would the chicken do when it crosses the road? I don't know, but let's find out. I don't know. But God,
well, I think anything you can do on the road, you can do up in the seats. I think you can high five and dance around and take your shirt off, whatever you want to do up in the
pelvic
seats.
Thrusts. I don't know what could happen. Who knows? Yeah.
Anyway, I just think it's crazy, and the real surprise that add a little somber thought to this is that every so often we get this going on we get it going on a lot in Europe, soccer, and every so often you find out somebody's dead. I'm frankly surprised that we have not had serious injuries or deaths. I really am, and even people who they don't their response to it, they have a heart attack. Never mind that get trampled, they have a heart attack. There's no reason for it. It's stupid.
But,
and guess what? The leagues are saying it's stupid because they're fining schools, $50,000?
Yeah.
500 grand.
But come on, are there worse ways to die? Huh? A heart attack from the jubilation of court storming or something? Write that on the epitaph.
We beat Tennessee at home in late November, early December. Yeah, that's worth killing myself over. Are you people nuts? So no, let's not go there. And let's not, as a show, let's not let the Manchild show be supportive of court storming or field storming.
I have stormed once, by the way. I must confess.
Well, you were a goofy youth. I hope to God you didn't do it last week. I think you did when you were 20 years old.
Yeah, when I was
half in the bag.
When I was a student at Syracuse and they won a big game, so at the Dome.
Really? Okay. What big game did they win? What do you remember? You don't remember the game.
It was probably Georgetown. I can't remember, to be honest.
But you don't remember? That's how big it was. You don't even remember what it was.
Right. I know. And then I was the victim of a court storming once. But you would be able to relate to this, but media was always given really good seats. Nowadays we're sent to the rafters, and they're giving all those seats away for, selling those seats for thousands and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars courtside at all these arenas across the country. But at one point, the media, back in the day, when I first started covering sports professionally, the media sat courtside, including the JMA, the former Carrier Dome, now the JMA Dome. And I was doing a game for WAER radio, and I was on the broadcast crew, and it was a big game, and Syracuse won, and people were getting ready to storm the court. And I was like, oh my goodness, like we're right up courtside, and the fans were coming up our backs. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then, the game ends and it's a bloodletting. And our equipment, we got all this expensive radio equipment and it's all on this table and there's wires and cords running everywhere. People are literally trampling over us. They're jumping up onto the table and going over us. I was like, oh my God. I just dove onto the equipment to try to protect the gear as people trundled over me. And I was nearly trampled to death on the table protecting the WAER radio equipment. That's how much I cared about Radio Boy Green in those days. As a student, I was protecting the gear instead of myself, out of my mind.
Same story.
But that's a refreshing thought, Bud, that a bullet comes towards you and Lurch is, raw. He's going to dive in front of it for you.
Well, same story, but I won't go, all that detail. But I covered Leonard Duran boxing match in Montreal. And, with the big upset, Leonard was the favorite and fairly heavy, as I remember, and Duran beat him. And it was an international crowd, a lot of Duran fans, a lot of Hispanic types, so they were just overwrought with joy. I mean, my God, their guy from the island or Panama, where were we? So I forget, and I apologize for not remembering off the top of my head. But there was a charge of the ring, and they came right over the top, just like you said. And I huddled over it. Back then it was a typewriter, and I'm huddling over. It was my typewriter. I'm huddling over the thing, and people were literally crawling, using my back and my body as kind of a bridge to the ring, because I'm literally, I'm here and I could touch the ring. So I had that, and boy, it was frightening, because I'm thinking, what happens if the whole structure of this thing collapses, And they must have had, hundreds for sure, maybe 1,000 people trying, getting into the ring or getting over the rope. It was frightening. There was nothing joyous about that. It was frightening.
That was very frightening that day for me too. And by the way, Roberto Duran is from Panama. You were correct. He is Panamanian. I think they called him the Panamanian Devil at one point. And the famous, you weren't at the No Mas fight, were you, Bud?
I was not in the No Mas fight. I was at the one.
You were at the one when Duran was great.
Hands of stone, right there. Hands of stone.
Manos de Piedra. I remember seeing it on all the posters. Hands of Stone. Yes, there he is, the late great. I shouldn't say late great. Is he still alive? Roberto Duran still alive?
Let me do a double check.
What's that?
What's your guess?
Roberto Duran is probably no longer with us.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's passed. Am I wrong?
He is alive, baby.
He's alive. We could go interview him. 74 years old. Yep, born in 1951. Roberto Duran still with us. See, another dead or alive brought to the table in the world of sports.
Great to hear.
We know nothing. We haven't played Dead or Alive. Maybe we'll do that for some Christmas fun. All right, Bud, we've been ending all our interviews here as we lead these last few weeks up to Christmas with various Christmas tales. So I ask each guest to share a Christmas thing. I ask them a question and ask you to share your response. So I know this is a tough one for you.
Well, hold on. I'm going to answer a different question. You can ask your question, but I'm going to answer my question. But go ahead.
Just be with the Christmas spirit and go along with it, would you please?
Oh, it is a Christmas question.
All right, we'll see what you have to offer. First, answer my question. Now, Bud, you have a reputation over the years, okay, when we did the radio show and beyond, all right, for all the years I've known you, that you're not big on holidays, you're not big on birthdays in particular, you hate birthdays, okay, yada, yada, yada. So this is a tough one. I hope I'll let you go one or the other way. So here's the Christmas question I'm asking you, all right? The holiday question I'm asking you. Best gift Bud Poliquin ever got, or best gift that Bud Poliquin ever gave? You can go either way. Something you gave, something you got. You go all the way back to your childhood, way back in the old memory bank, Bud. But give me best recollection of a gift either you got or you gave to someone.
Nothing comes to mind.
Nothing comes to mind. It's a complete blank slate.
But here's a question I have. This is a good question.
Okay.
All right.
Bud, before you answer this, I don't know if this is going to be true, but I'm hoping it is. We're seeing Wicked later this week, so I'm hoping Wicked tickets. That is hopefully one of the greatest gifts I've ever received. So hopefully that's it.
I think you're misusing the word gift there a little bit.
Nice
I don't know how much gifty that is.
Exchange.
Yeah.
The man doesn't need any more rose petals.
You're letting on. But anyway, here's my question and here's my answer. What's your favorite Christmas movie? That's a good one.
Okay.
And mine is
only one answer.
Scrooge. No, mine is Scrooge, starring Albert Finney. It's a musical version
of Scrooge. Oh no.
Yeah, Scrooge. Yeah, with our guy Bill Murray. Yes.
If you watch if you watch Scrooge with Albert Finney and that bunch, and you do it in a proper spirit, you'll have little moments of tears and moments of joy. It's a beautiful Christmas movie. There it is. That's my question. So I'll throw that right back at you guys. Lurch, Boy Green, favorite Christmas movie
Can
that
it
you
be
watch
an
every year?
animated? Can I pick an animated, please?
You do what you want.
Okay.
It's your
Boy Green,
answer.
you want to go first, or do you want me to go?
You could go first, please, Lurch. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm a big fan of The Year Without a Santa Claus. That is the famous one with the heat miser and the cold miser. I like that one. He's Mr. White Christmas. He's Mr. Snow. Da 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 da. I like that.
And you're making fun of my pick of Scrooge.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I like the quasi animated or the animated ones at Christmas time. I grew up. My mom and dad they made it a tradition for us to watch them. So we always watched Rudolph and Frosty and all the animateds at Christmas time. And as a matter of fact, just literally a couple of nights ago, I decorated the house finally, Bud, for Christmas. Did a really nice job while Pat was out. I basically decided I'm going to do this, and I decorated the whole. And then she came back home, and I had all the little twinkling lights on and everything. She was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" So it was really cool, nice surprise. But anyway, my case in point was that just last night. It was either last night or the night before. I was in my PJs. I got myself a cup of hot cocoa, and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was on, and I turned it on, and it was just like reliving my childhood. I called my 88-year-old mom up. Yesterday was her birthday, and I was like, "Mom, I'm watching Rudolph. Look at this, man. I'm just sipping hot cocoa. I'm in my PJs," and just kind of brought back some fond memories. So I like the animateds because it brings me back to my childhood. So there's lots of adult Christmas movies I like too, but the animateds are the ones that really do it for me at the holidays. Boy Green?
Okay, there are two choices that are accepted here, but I have a clear number one, but I'll accept a number two. Number one,
Tommy Boy is not a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it is not. It's Christmas Vacation, baby.
Yeah,
that's clearly the greatest. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, 1989, an absolute classic, so quotable. Old Clark Griswold there, Chevy Chase. Oh yeah, baby. I watch this every year. It's part of the rotation.
You love that movie.
Oh yeah, this is a great one. Again, I would also, that's obviously number one, but I would accept
number one for you.
Scrooge with old Bill Murray here. 1988. That's another class. They came out back-to-back years. I watch this one every single year, and oh man, there's so many great quotable moments from Scrooge. That's another classic. It's both of those two. 1A, 1B, Bud. I'm sure you've seen both of those, and they're part of your rotation. Yes, Bud?
Then sorta and no.
Sorta.
They're not. I'm surprised one of you guys didn't do Elf.
That's
Elf
fine.
is
That's a millennial one. That's okay. It's not part of my automatic rotation, but every couple of years it works its way in there.
I'd go Die Hard over Elf. I definitely.
No. Wait a minute. You're not going to tell me that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Of course it is. What would Christmas be without Franz Gruber falling backwards off of Nakatomi Plaza there? What would Christmas be without seeing that every year?
Tell me what qualifies that for a Christmas
movie.
It's the great controversy, Bud. We'd have to do an hour-long show just to discuss the merits of whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Right. I'm calling sick on that one, just like I did.
You didn't answer my question. I'm not answering yours. There you go. That's the way it's going to go. Thanks for the Christmas spirit as usual. I come with a question. You come with no answer. You come with your own question and a separate answer. And
I will think I'll have the answer to your gift thing next week. Yes, I will.
Talk to people around you who actually remember you giving gifts and getting gifts. I know that's like a foreign thought to you, right? But maybe talk to some people around you who actually know that there was a time when you did that. Okay.
I already have something in my head, so next week I won't let you know.
All right. Same question next week, and you'll have a whole week to think about it.
Yes, sir.
All right, folks. Thanks so much for watching Brunch with Bud. We'll see you again next week. Bud, take care.
Good delight, boys. See you next week.